Being a dad is hard. It's high stakes. It takes a toll on our self-worth, mental health, and can be lonely. But why would we ever want to do something so important in isolation? Legacy Makers, a conversation for dads, is quite simply two normal dads having conversations about, you guessed it, being a dad. The highs, the lows, and the learnings along the way. We are four dads. We want to remedy the deficiency we see in community for dads, and we want to ruthlessly encourage dads on their journey to build lasting legacy for the faces they love the most.
All right, Eric, here we go. Now, I feel like you like all kind of different things. You did some wrestling last night, not you like personally, but you went to a WWE event.
I did.
You like that?
I do. I love it.
You also like a lot of different types of music.
I do.
Like, what's your main? Like, you're more of a rap,
kind of
like a hip hop guy.
I am a pretty solid connoisseur of all things hip hop. Really enjoy like '90s, early 2000s, but I'm pretty versatile.
Didn't you teach your kids some '90s stuff recently? They were sharing some. I felt like there was some Instagram story of a '90s song
it was 2000.
A 2000. Okay.
It was a Snoop. It was the girls were in the bath.
Yeah, this is it. Tell us the story. The girls are in the bath, and what are they singing?
So there's a classic Snoop Dogg song that was produced by the Neptunes and Pharrell Williams. It's called "Drop It Like It's Hot." And there's an opening to that song that I won't do on here, but it's
I think our ratings would go through the roof if you would do that right now. We may have some copyright.
It's kind of like a whistle-ish kind of thing, and it's a very signature thing. When I do that, the girls will then rap like the chorus, and there's a part of the chorus that they shouldn't have been rapping that was pretty funny.
All right, if you want to go look that up on their own. All right, so I sent you this song the other day, and you're
this
like,
is
man,
different rap.
This is
different than rap.
This is different than rap. This is why I was curious. I was like, is Eric going to like this, or is he going to judge me? Because
I love country
always see you
music
posting some of this. So Luke Combs, country artist. We were talking about before we were recording, like he's got a whole album called Fathers and Sons.
Yes.
So I don't know Luke personally. Do you know Luke? Are you friends with him?
I don't.
You know? Okay.
We should reach out.
It's good up, Luke. If you're listening, we'd like to have you on the podcast. But you can tell as he's become famous and he has had kids, you can just tell through some of his music, like he's struggling a little bit with the tension here. Like it's everything he's ever wanted in life. It's all of his dreams coming true, and yet there is a tension and a tug. And I feel like that is something that every single one of us face. You and I are not famous.
No.
But regardless of where you serve, and the one song that I'd love for us to kind of dive into is this idea he calls front door famous. And the picture he paints is, again, he's a famous singer, so he's out at a crowd at a concert, and there's all these people and all these fans, and his song is really about seeing like his son in that crowd, because as much as he loves the adoration and the affirmation, he most wants to be famous at the front door of his house. And I'm not going to sing it. If you'd like to sing it, you can.
No.
But the chorus says, walking through the front door, hearing daddy at the top of his lungs with his feet on the wood floor, running up to give me a hug. I love this right here. Yes, that's what it's all for. The spotlight can't replace it. In a heartbeat, man, I'd trade it. Because it ain't got nothing on being front door famous. Let me say this, and then I want to hear some of your thoughts on it. But the line that resonated with me was that I would trade it. And I think for me, that is one thing that we have talked over and over about, the importance of our kids seeing us pursue things, our kids seeing us being ambitious, our kids. If we think that we shouldn't focus at all on work, all we should be is there for our kids, I don't think that sets a good example. I don't think that's right. I think the question in our heart is, if those two were at odds, would you trade it? Like, and what ultimately matters the most? How do you think about that?
Yeah, first of all, I think the song is amazing, right? It's such a, anybody listening to this and then goes and listens to the song, when you just read the words, I can visualize each of my four kids differently, like when I come home.
Yeah.
And it's hard now with my, 12-year-old who's, too cool for school.
Yeah.
And it is sweet though every once in a while. Like I feel that. I still get it with Benny. Mine just turned 9 a couple days ago. And then my girls are just like, I wish I could bottle it. Like I've actually recorded it a few different times, like just because I want to remember just the excitement.
When you walk in the door and they come running up, and
it's so I just smiled when you read the chorus there, because he hits on something so universal, I think, for moms and dads, like the feeling that you feel when those kids see you. And, and it's hard, I'll tell you, as your kids get older, when it's not as excited to see, and it's not necessarily because you did anything wrong. It's just, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Now, here's the thing. I think all of us can relate to those moments when the kids are young and they come running up. The reality is that kids are going to get older. That's not always going to happen. But I think the principle is still got to carry true, that like, I want to be, our friend Mike Lynch, who's like our most frequent dropped name on the podcast, talks about like being famous in your own home.
Yeah.
Like, I believe at my core that should be true, but I can tell you my actions most of the time, I spend a lot more time thinking about the opinions of people outside of my home than I do the opinions inside of my home, because in so many ways I take their affirmation for granted.
Yeah. Yes. And you know what, and we both trace back the last, couple years. And the reality is, if we're really honest with ourselves, the amount of time we spend developing ourselves, preparing for something, sharpening the edges, getting better, striving, I'm just going to say it, it's pretty much always about something outside of the house.
Yeah.
It's something around your job. It's something about, building something. And I think that's natural. But it's also kind of convicting when if you're really honest with yourself and have that moment where you do inventory and look in the mirror. And I think that's also part of one of the reasons we wanted to start this conversation, that to say it's okay and it's normal, but you gotta really try to rein some of that in and take a similar approach to investing in the relationships at home, or how do I get better in these areas? And that's a real important thing.
And you said one thing that's key, and you said it's intentional.
Yeah.
There has got to be, like, if there is a word that we anchored over this podcast, it is about being intentional. You're, again, never met a bad dad who's trying to be great. So being intentional. But also, I think about people who are truly the most famous. They're not the one-hit wonders. They're not the people that are the most famous are the ones that you talk about for years to come.
Yeah.
They leave a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's also key. Thinking about being famous in our homes doesn't mean trying to just be popular in our homes. It means trying to leave that legacy, trying to invest and be intentional in a way that it's going to pay off when you and I aren't here anymore.
We've talked about it. You could stay at home every single day, mom or dad or both. And if you don't have intentionality, that, like, time doesn't necessarily equal legacy and impact.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Like, I can sit and just be at home and be a blob and not pour into my kids and not read them bedtime stories, not pray, not teach them all the things. Cool. I was with them for 18 years and I stayed home with them. Like, I guarantee you take somebody with a fraction of that time, but has insane intentionality and has a plan and has a purpose for the interactions on a day-to-day basis. Those kids are going to have a much different experience with a parent, and like they were there, they were there much less than the parent that was there that just didn't really have a thought. And so that intentionality is really, really important.
Okay. Let's think about that intentionality, because I think it often, fame in the outside world comes from big things.
Yes.
Big accomplishments. Like at your job, there's the you really did well on this client that you secured, or you were able to oversee this huge project, or you accomplished this. But the trust from your team at work comes from those little inputs.
Yes.
I think the same thing is true at home. We're going to not just be famous because of the big Disney trip we were able to take them on, or the moment they hit the home run and they sell. It's going to be all of those little pieces along the way. Yeah. What do you think about some of those? Like, What are some of those simple things that it takes to build the fame?
Yeah. Before there, in a previous episode, we talked about, somebody that I worked with that had passed away, and we did a memorial, and it was fascinating to hear. And this person had a tremendous impact, like big wins. And what was said by many people was what was like the consistent things that made him a special person.
Yep.
The checking in on people, the kindness that he exhibited consistently. It was not like this one time and then I loved him. It was, I've known him for this amount of time and he did this, and this. And I think, yes, the big things it's an and, it's not an or, right? You're going to want to put big points on the board at work. You're going to want to have big tentpole moments with the family that they point back to as, hey, this was an incredible thing that occurred. And listen, you got to show up consistently in a way that is intentional in terms of what you're trying to create.
The consistency is key. I think listening to them. So I think we often feel like we're going to be famous by what we tell them or what we say, but some of that is the way, I think of leaders that I really admire, and it's ones that oftentimes make you feel are really important. Well, that same thing is true at home.
It is.
So listening, celebrating wins for them, like helping them feel like, I don't know about you. I have found it, I don't know, I think we may have talked about this in a previous episode. Like my oldest son scored 3 goals in soccer last night. It was really easy for me to celebrate that.
Yeah.
He also figured out the Rubik's Cube, which I don't give a rip about. Laura is much better at that. Like it's really tough for me to get excited about those, but I think we've got to get excited about the things that they're excited about.
Yeah. And I think you want to also, the importance of being present and watching things. Like it's not just about, like you said, the goals or even solving the Rubik, but like what do they do? What are the actions that you see that may not even lead to a result? Something as simple as my youngest son, Bennett, like early on, he was just very quiet, super shy. He's quite the opposite now, but like getting him to say his order at a restaurant and praising him for it, man, that was really brave of you. Like it seems silly, but these kids, if you reward them and recognize them, you want to recognize the behavior you want, right? And we think so much around celebrating these things in terms of these achievements, but some of it's just like the action that you see, if it's consistent with what you want to build in them, like bring that up, put an underline on that.
I feel like that we waver sometimes on, we're talking about dads, and sometimes we end up in a lot of corporate kind of conversations. I just want to say this because I have gotten to observe a little bit of how you lead a very large team, and a lot of the things that you have implemented to create a great culture on that team are the same things that are transferable to people. It's those kind of things. It's like just letting people be heard and caring about their success and their future. And so I had 3 things that I really believe if we want to be front door famous, if we want our kids to look at us as the kind of dad that may not always get it right, but they know really cares, I think there's 3 things. Number 1, I think it comes down to actions. And I really think that is consistency between our words and our actions, that what we say is what we do. That's not just, it's not just what we're telling them, it's what they're seeing. Yeah.
So when I think about, I will tell them, my kids, especially my boys, are older, they can understand, hey, this is where I see you. I visualize you in these things, or this is what our family stands for. That's great. But I almost feel like the actions, those consistent actions, I visualize it as, okay, that's out in the future, like what I expect of them, or this is what this family is going to be known for. And then every day I'm building a bridge to that.
Yep.
With actions. And the bridge is not built. And just because I say that our family is going to stand for these things, or these are the things that we are going to be known for, this is what we expect of you, that's wonderful. But in order to get there, I'm going to have to build a bridge each and every day. And unfortunately, there's sometimes we might build the one step in the wrong direction. We got to go quickly back. But listen, man, like casting vision, wonderful. But to your point, those consistent actions are the bridge to the legacy that you're trying to build.
That's so good. You said in some episode that you're the oldest child. I'm also the oldest child. My son, that is the oldest, I find him like when things aren't going according to plan, he gets so riled up in things. And my words are like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that. Yeah. But what does he see in me? He sees me think that it is. So consistency of action. So actions is one. Yeah. Number two is affirmation. And to me, this was thinking about where do I seek affirmation from? Not accomplishment. So I want to say this. I think we need to be focused on accomplishment at work. But if my number one goal is I'm trying to find my affirmation through external validation, whether it's at work or with my kids, that's going to be a problem. Yeah. If who I am is based on when I'm getting affirmed.
And so as you think about that, you're impressing on me and yourself and the listeners the importance of you almost need to stack rank, like where am I going to prioritize, like what is the most meaningful affirmation for me?
Yeah, and we try to not go down too far down this path on the podcast, understanding everybody comes from a different background, but I think the faith piece is really key in that because when I am most confident in my relationship with God, I'm less likely to be seeking affirmation from everybody else.
That's right.
And when I'm not as sure of who I am and my true value, I am very much
you're plugging a hole.
I am trying to
You're plugging a hole, and I think that's right. Like in our faith, our Christian faith, that is exactly right. I think the beautiful thing is there we are affirmed based on what has occurred on our behalf, right? But whether you follow that belief or not, it could be energy or whatever. Like there is something about ensuring that you are thinking about something at a higher power. Like, because again, it reinforces to yourself in your ego that we all have, like you're small, like you are not in control. Yep. And I think that should be the common thread. If you don't share that faith, like the reality is the affirmation you seek needs to be something that can't be taken away from you.
It has to be. And we've just got to keep it in check. We've talked about this before a little bit, but I have a company that I'm involved with and I go speak for a living.
Yeah.
And I get a lot more excited when I go speak because those people clap for me before I've done anything. Like they clap before I get on stage. They clap when I get off. When I walk in my office, nobody claps when I walk in. That is a dangerous thing when you start to think about your family, because we talk about those little kids running up, but there's going to be days where they're not. If I am trying to seek affirmation from them instead of be the one to pour into them, that's going to be a bad power dynamic with our kids. That's going to lead to just, I think, the wrong outcomes we want.
Yeah, I'll say it another way and let's move on. I think whether you own your own business, you're an emergency medical service industry, corporate world, it doesn't matter. Whatever profession you have, I can confidently say if they took you out of the equation, you, me, whoever's listening,
it's still going.
That enterprise is going to roll and it's going to be just fine without you.
Yeah. It's good to know.
There might be some roles that are super whatever, but like for the most part, like I mentioned, I work at Coca-Cola. If I no longer work at Coke, the stock price is not going to move, positive or negative. The company is still going to serve 1.9 billion beverages a day around the world. Like I'm not that important.
Yeah.
But Camden, Bennett, Anderson, and Evelyn, and Brittany, if I no longer exist, that's a very different life for them.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good. Okay, so our actions is one, creating that consistency. Affirmation is two. And then I put added context here. It's probably also communication. I just like to have another A. So added context, which is sharing the why with your kids, giving that added context. Because I love when you describe this time thing. If we tell our kids they're the most important, that doesn't mean we're going to spend the most amount of time with them. Like we've got to go make a living. They've got to go to school. Like they've got to go have a life too. And if we're not sharing them why and the bigger picture, it can often feel like we're not doing what we're saying.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like dad, like your vote. If we're really voting with our time, the kids are going to say, "Well, he's choosing something over me all the time." I had this conversation with Evelyn, my 4-year-old, and she's like, why do you have to work? And this whole thing. And I'm trying to like answer this question, and she just keeps asking more of the why questions. But to your point, I think it's really important as a mom, dad, to communicate. This is what I do. This is why I do it. This is why I'm the impact that we make, or tie it back to the role that it plays as a provider for the family, or making an impact on people that you're trying to do, because one day they're going to be going out into the world and they're called to do the same. So I think it's really important to connect the dots versus daddy's going to work.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's just, it also teaches them that work is good. Like you're called to be a productive member of society.
Yeah.
So,
but
that context is important.
So if we're going to be famous in our own homes, it's going to require a lot of intentionality. And I think for me, I need to be finding a way, whether it's listening to that song over or just reminding myself that is what's most important.
Yeah.
Because if I can easily slip into just focused on the things that are demanding more of my time and attention and getting misaligned priorities.
Yeah. In closing, I would say too, I think you have to reframe and resist the urge to just assume that the relationships you hold the dearest have to love you.
That's right.
Have to respect you. Because they're my children or my wife, they have to, whatever, fill in the blank. You have to, almost same at work, like you have to earn that.
Yep.
You have the benefit that there's this natural connection, that love is probably there, but treasure that.
Yeah.
Right? If you really want to be famous at your house, like don't just take that for granted. So I think it's a really good topic. I think it'd be better if Luke was sitting here. I'm bummed out you didn't get that.
Luke, we'd love you to be on the show. But I think a challenge for dads at the end is hey, you're replaceable everywhere else. That doesn't mean it's not important. It is important. But make the intentionality to be famous in your own home. So go be great.
Well said.
Thanks for listening to Legacy Makers with Kevin Scott and Eric Blumenthal. Make sure you download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.